Jefferson County Code at law number 2 is back in session. The court is in session and calls number M333526, case of style of state of Texas versus Juan Herrera. Mr. Herrera, is that your full name? Mr. Herrera, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Herrera, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God? Mr. Herrera, you may put your hand down. How you doing, Mr. Herrera? I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. Herrera, you're represented in your case by your attorney, Lori Perazzo. Attorney Perazzo, how are you doing? And Ms. Perazzo, do you waive a record in Mr. Herrera's case?
Yes, Your Honor.
State is represented in this case by Attorney Andrew Hubel. Attorney Hubel, how are you doing?
Doing well, Judge.
Mr. Herrera, I have before me a document that is titled Information. This information alleges that on or about July 24th of 2022, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed to Class A misdemeanor offense of evading arrest, detention. Mr. Herrera, do you understand what you have been charged with? And to this charge, Mr. Herrera, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest? Now, are you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily? And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges? Okay, Mr. Herrera, I also have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonished, which is also labeled as State's Exhibit number 1. Mr. Herrera, do you recognize this document? On page 2 of the same document, there's a set of initials on the line next to the box that's checked no contingent, which means no contest. Did you place your initials on this document? On page 3 of the same document, there's a signature above the line that's titled Defendant. Is this your signature? And on the next document that's titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal, you recognize this document. And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant? At the top of this document, there are 2 boxes checked. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that statement? The second box that's checked states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that statement? I also have before me a document that is titled Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document? And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant? Now, Mr. Herrera, before you sign and initial all of these documents that I just showed you, did your attorney, Ms. Perazzo, go over these documents with you? And did you read and understand everything that she went over?
Can you speak up so he can hear you?
I did not read it, but she read it.
So did you follow as she went over the document with you? Did you understand everything that she went over? Now, is everything in this document true and correct to the best of your knowledge? Now, Mr. Herrera, are you a citizen in the United States? Mr. Herrera, let's see, state. I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State, you locked off for State's Exhibit 1 in evidence?
Yes, Your Honor.
No objection.
No objection. State's Exhibit 1 is admitted. Ms. Perazzo, you advising counsel, Mr. Herrera. Is there any evidence that he's currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Herrera, your attorney, Ms. Perazzo, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with her representation?
Yes, sir.
Has she provided full, effective, and competent legal representation? Mr. Herrera, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
The agreement is to plead to the state's offer of 90 days probated for 6 months, at 40 hours community service and $500 fine.
Okay, so $500 fine plus court costs.
Yes, Your Honor.
And what's the community service?
40 hours.
40 hours service. What is the court cost? $337. Okay, Mr. Herrera, the state is offering that you serve 90 days in the Jefferson County Jail. However, you'll not be required to serve any more time. You will not be required to serve any time in jail because you'll be placed on probation for 6 months. During the probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $500 plus court costs of $337. You'll also be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month and a urinalysis fee of $15 each month. Your total monthly installments, that is a total amount that you will be required to pay each month while you're on probation, is $257 a month. Will you be able to pay the $257 each month? Now, you'll also be required to perform 40 hours of community service. And you will also be required to adhere to the other standard terms and condition of your probation. Now, Mr. Herrera, do you understand the state's offer? And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just? And do you accept the state's offer? Okay, Mr. Herrera, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Herrera, you're going to stand next to your attorney, follow the directions of the clerk. Once you finish following the directions of the clerk, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day. Oh, wow. Oh, here we go. What's not an active case? Is that on Herrera?
No.
Oh. Oh,
Oh, is that the favorite one? And it's right over in this spot, in both boxes. This is one of the. I think it is fine. And then this copyright is gonna be yours, and there is a map with probation on. And we'll report over there today, okay? But I've highlighted the hours that they're closed for lunch. Okay?
This is when the will reach that order there, prosecution release from charges. So it was dismissed, but all of us. Charged.
And then it's getting,
25.
probably an image for hundred and something like that. And that very file. So whenever it comes to convert over.
Oh, people just don't understand, and then
Guy,
here and something that you think they don't understand. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you need to do?
So, yeah.
David Lewis. Okay, this is cause number M322340, cases South of State of Texas versus David Christopher Lewis. Mr. Lewis, is that your full name?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Lewis, do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lewis, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Lewis?
Pretty good. You said.
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking, Mr. Lewis. You represented in your cases. You have two cases. The second case is cause number M332334. And you're represented in your cases by your attorney, Attorney Lori Perazzo, Attorney Perazzo. Do you waive a record in Mr. Lewis' cases?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Lewis, in cause number M322340, I have before me a document that is titled information. This information alleges that on or about March 30th of 2018, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, operating a motor vehicle, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated. Second, this information further alleged that prior to the commission of this offense, that you, David Christopher Lewis, on or about March 30th of 2010, in County Court at Law number 3 of Jefferson County, Texas, in cause number 269573, that you were convicted of the misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated, and that conviction became final prior to the commission of this offense. Is that true or not true? It's true?
So what I was taking in, but yeah, back from 2000.
Yeah,
right?
They're saying that you had a DWI conviction,
Yes, sir.
and so that's true.
Yes, sir.
Now, to the offense of driving while intoxicated, second, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No.
Now, you're pleading no contest freely and voluntarily? And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges? Now, Mr. Lewis, I also have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishments. Do you recognize this document? On page 2 of the same document, there's a set of initials DL on a line that's next to a box that's checking over contingent. Did you place your initials on this document? On page 3 of the same document, okay. Now, let me actually see on page 3 of this document, is this your signature or your initials?
Yes.
Okay, you're supposed to put your signature right there. Yeah. I think you did the same thing on the next page too.
Do you want us forward to that
Yeah.
page?
Yes.
On your name out to the side of your name.
No, that's my signature right there.
That's your signature?
Yes, sir. I can
Okay.
sign it again.
Okay, I didn't.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now, Mr. Lewis, let's see which one we got. On page 3 of this document, there's a signature above the line that is titled Defendant. Is this your signature?
Yes, sir.
And on the next page, the next document is titled Trial Court Certification to Defendant's Right of Appeal. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes, sir.
At the top of this document, there are 2 boxes that's checked. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargaining case and you have no right to appeal. Do you understand that statement? The second box that's checked states that you're waiving your right to appeal, which means you're giving up your right to appeal. Do you understand that statement?
Yes, sir.
I also have a document
You want,
that's titled Discovery Certification. You recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line? It's titled defendant.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Lewis, before you signed and initialed these documents, did your attorney go over these documents with you?
Yes.
And did you read and understand everything that you went over?
Yes.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis, are you a citizen of the United States?
Yes, sir.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit Number 1. State, you'd like to offer State's one?
yes, Your Honor.
No objection.
No objection. State's Exhibit Number 1 will be admitted. Ms. Perazzo, you advised and counsel Mr. Lewis. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
And Mr. Lewis, your attorney, Ms. Perazzo, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with her representation?
Yes, sir.
Has she provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lewis, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
That agreement is to plead the state's offer of 180 days, probated over 2 years. A $2,000 fine plus court costs, 100 hours community service, an interlock device, and DWI standard intervention of DWI intervention conditions.
Okay, that's an interlock device and what is
DWI intervention conditions
DWI intervention,
and 72 hours jail.
intervention, 72 hours jail. And when is that jail time to begin?
November 3rd, November 3rd, at
November
6 p.m.,
3rd,
which is next Friday.
2023 at 6 p.m. Hmm?
Yes, I know. And it's also running concurrent with this other.
Okay, CC, is that correct? It's running concurrent?
Yes, Your Honor.
Concurrent with cost number M33233.
I know, I can't believe it's already November.
Okay, let me see. What's his court cost? 452.
They go up and so they're different in each case.
It's yeah. Let's see, 452.
What decides that? Do you know?
The offense. It's like when in the new case, like DWIs are automatically 377, and then anything else is usually 277.
Yeah, because I was here the other day, I was like, I thought they were like
And
270 something.
Odyssey is automatically tacked on like another for DWI.
For specific cases. Okay, I've always wondered
Yeah.
why that. I thought it was just because of the cost of the county were
Right.
more that month or something.
Right.
Okay. I was just think between 200 and 400, because I know it varies.
Right, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Lewis, the state is offering that you serve 180 days in the Jefferson County Jail. However, this 180 days will be probated for 2 years. During the 2-year probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $2,000 plus court costs of $452. You'll be required to pay a probation fee of $60 a month, or your analysis fee of $15 a month. and you'll be required to pay a reimbursement fee of $15. You will also be required to pay the DWI education and initial evaluation fee of $125 on the day of the plea. Should a further evaluation be needed, you'll be required to pay an additional $50. Your total monthly installments in this case is $186 a month. Will you be able to pay the $186 a month? You'll also be required to pay a fine, you'll also be required to pay a reimbursement fee. Is there any other fees that?
Ms. Peraza was appointed, so she'll be able to receive the max of 300 instead of more than.
But will she get like $250 on this one?
On this one and then
Okay,
50 on
let me
the
do this here. I forgot to add that.
DWI.
First,
Second.
blood evidence.
Okay. Now, Mr. Lewis, the state is offering that you serve 180 days in Jefferson County Jail. However, this 180 days will be probated for a period of 2 years. During the probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $2,000. You'll also be required to pay a probation fee, not a probation fee, but a court call of $452. You'll be required to pay a probation fee, $60 a month, a urinalysis fee of $15 a month, a reimbursement fee of $15, and you'll be required to reimburse the Jefferson County DWI or the Jefferson County for the court-appointed attorney's fees of $250. Now, your total monthly installments, that is the total amount that you'll be required to pay each month. In this case, will be $196 a month. Will you be able to pay the $196 each month?
Yes, sir.
You'll also be required to pay Jefferson County DWI education initial evaluation fee of $125 on the day of the plea. Should a further evaluation be needed, you'll be required to pay an additional $50. Now, you'll also be required to perform 100 hours of community service, install an interlock device on any vehicle that you want to operate, attend and complete the DWI intervention class. You'll be required to serve 72 hours in jail beginning on November 3rd, 2023 at or before 6 p.m. And this case will run concurrent with cause number M332334. Mr. Lewis, do you understand the state's offer? And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yeah.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Mr. Lewis, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with this case, or with the DA's office in this case. And now, Mr. Lewis, I will move on to your next case. And your next case is cause number M332334. And in this case, Mr. Lewis, I have before me an information that was also filed by the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office. And in this information, it alleges that you, David Christopher Lewis, on or about August 15th of 2020, while you were operating a motor vehicle in a public place in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed to Class A misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated. Second, this information further alleges that prior to the commission of this offense, that you, David Christopher Lewis, on March 30th of 2010 in the County Court at Law number 3 of Jefferson County, Texas, and cause number 573, that you were convicted of the misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated, and that conviction became final prior to the commission of this offense. Is that true? And to the offense of driving while intoxicated, second, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, and no contest? Are you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily? And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges? And Mr. Lewis, I also have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishments, also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
On page 2 of the same document, there are a set of initials on the line next to the box that check no contingent. Did you place your initials on this document? On the next page, the same document.
Sign that one too.
No, I think this is a
That was
series.
signed, okay.
On the next page, there's a signature above the line that is titled Defendant. Is this your signature?
Yes, sir.
And on the next document, that's titled Trial Court Certification, the Defendant's Right of Appeal. Do you recognize this document? And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes.
At the top of this document, there are 2 boxes that's checked. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that statement?
Yes, sir.
And the second box that's checked states that you are waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that statement?
Yes, sir.
I also have before me a document that is titled Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document?
Yes,
And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant?
yes.
Now, Mr. Lewis, before you signed and initialed these documents, did your attorney go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything that she went over? And is everything that she went over true and correct to the best of your knowledge? And State, I have before me State's Exhibit Number 1. State, would you like to offer State's 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
No objection.
No objection, State's Exhibit Number 1 will be admitted into evidence. Ms. Barraza, you advising counsel, Mr. Lewis, in this case, is there any evidence that he's currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No.
And Mr. Lewis, your attorney, Ms. Barraza, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with her representation?
Yes, sir.
Has she provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lewis, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
That offer, as with the previous cases, 180 days, prorated over 2 years, $2,000 fine plus court costs, 100 hours community service.
On this one, they got a 0 for a fine.
Fine, great.
You said 2,000.
Well, on the previous case, it was
2,000.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you. Yes, there is no fine in this one. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so it's no fine plus
Yes, sir.
court costs and community service.
Is the community service written on that one, Judge?
It looks like it's 40
40 hours.
hours of community service.
Um,
Is that correct?
the,
This
it
is,
may have been written on the previous.
let me hear this. I can get you could, this is the plea form.
Because the offer was hours community service.
Why did I put 40?
Oh,
You know it's 40.
so it's 100?
But
It's 100. I think I got his confused with Mr. Herrera.
Oh, okay.
But
Hold on a minute. Let me see. So,
I think they should run concurrent.
Yes.
okay,
It's-
so that's gonna be 100 hours of community service. Okay,
Sorry about
and, okay. In this case, he gets, I get interlock on this one. Yeah. Yeah, it's supposed to be an interlock on this one too.
that.
That's just a DWI second.
I put that on.
Yeah,
She wrote it out?
2 hours.
It's at the very bottom.
Oh, it's below that. I didn't see it. Oh, I was looking for the box to be checked.
That's okay.
Okay, so it's an interlock.
DWI intervention,
DWI intervention,
and 30 days jail.
30 days?
3 days.
3.
Yeah.
Okay.
3.
Since that death trial.
Well, that's just 3 days, should be 72 hours in jail.
Right. I thought I heard 30.
Let's begin in the same day, right? Well, no, I wonder if that,
Is it?
I don't know if they can run that concurrent, I don't, can they?
I think so, Judge.
They can, okay,
Run what concurrent?
the jail time,
72 hours.
Oh.
11, is that 11/3/23?
Yes,
Yes,
Okay, 11/3/23, but yeah, by 6 p.m. Okay, let me do this. What's his court cost? 407?
Yes.
Just do the short version.
What's your attorney area in Howell?
Like Roger.
Okay. Okay, let me do this here. Okay. Mr. Lewis, the state is offering that you serve 180 days in jail. However, this 180 days in jail will be probated for a period of 2 years. During the 2-year probationary period, you will not be required to pay a fine. However, you will be required to pay you will be required to pay court costs of $407 a month. probation fee.
470 a month.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, $407 total.
Okay.
And you'll be required to pay a probation fee of $60 a month. You're not, you'll be required to pay a year now fee of $15 a month. And reimbursement fee of $15. You also be required to pay $50 for the court-appointed attorney's fees in this case. Now, that comes to a total of $99 a month. However, because these cases are running concurrent, you will not be required to pay the probation. You're gonna pay the probation fee once, not twice. So you won't be paying the probation fee and the reimbursement fee. So you'll be paying somewhere in the neighborhood of $23 a month on this case.
Mhm.
Will you be able to pay the $23 a month? You'll also be, I wonder if he has to pay that DWI education initial evaluation fee. You may not have to pay that either because since these cases are running concurrent.
I wouldn't think not.
Right.
but-
They wouldn't do it twice.
Right, right. So you may not have to pay that UWI initial evaluation fee of $125 a month to be paid on the day of the, not on a month, but to be paid on the day of the plea.
Going from there.
And if you had to, as I mentioned earlier, if you had to get in an additional or follow-up appointment, then you would have to pay an additional $50. Now again, the total monthly installments probably be in the neighborhood of $23. Would you be able to pay that $23 a month? You also be required to perform $100 of community service. Community service is going to run concurrent with the previous case. You also be required to install an interlock device on any vehicle that you own or operate. You will have to attend and complete a DWI intervention class. And you will also be required to serve 72 hours in jail beginning November 3rd, 2023 at or before 6 p.m. Now, Mr. Lewis, you will also be required to adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of this DWI. Second, and Mr. Lewis, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that the state's offer is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state? And just for the record, this case will also be running concurrent with cause number M322340. And Mr. Lewis, the court is going to follow the plea bargaining agreement that you have entered into with the state. Now, Mr. Lewis, you're gonna stand next to your attorney, follow the directions of our clerk. Once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go. And you have a blessed day.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. And Ms. Ferrazzo, you'll be free to go as well. You have a blessed day.
And you have 4 minutes to sign, and then 4.
Are they coming at 1 or 1:30 for the pretrial?
Our pretrial is gonna be at 1 o'clock,
Okay.
but the jury is coming back at 2:30. We're gonna have a pretrial hearing at 1.
You get a copy and then my copy. and then-
Do we have any more matters to take care of this?
No, this is it. The court will be in recess until